Hello everyone, my name is Venkatesh. I'm a chartered accountant. So, as discussed in the previous video, I will be bringing you a series on audit mnemonics covering all topics, all chapters, all essays, SREs, SAEs, one by one. This is essay 210. Very simple standard, nothing much to study. Very few questions are expected, and there is no guarantee that you would get a question from this standard as well. But it's good that you study everything in all the subjects because you cannot pick and choose and expect to clear the examination. So I suggest you study everything. At least have a basic overview of every standard, if every chapter there is. Let's start. So essay 210 is agreeing to the terms of audit engagements. Normally the questions are direct. You just have to study the mnemonics, write it down in the examination, and come out. These are the keywords which you need to write. If you write these keywords in the examination, you would get some marks. But without these keywords, there's very little chance that you would get any marks in the examination. So please bear in mind, you write these keywords if any of the questions are asked covering these topics. Yeah, so preconditions you must be knowing. I've created a mnemonic. FM, what does FM ask? FM asks you to do SIP in AAP party. I'm not against or for any political party, but when you want to remember or when you have to remember something, make it extraordinary, make it something nonsense which doesn't have any meaning. So that actually helps you remember a lot. So FM, in FM's, just imagine one thing. If any question on precondition is asked, you just have to think, what does FM ask? FM asked you to do SIP in AAP party, Aam Aadmi party. That's all. What is F? F stands for FRF is acceptable. M is management responsibility. Instead of SIP, you have to remember it as FSIP. So FM asked you to do FSIP in Aam Aadmi party. FM asked you to do FSIP in AAP. F FS is FS as per financial reporting framework. I is internal control. P is providing auditor with all info, additional info, and unrestricted access to all people. The other P stands for persons. So if any questions on preconditions is asked, what do you have to remember? You have to think of what has FM asked you to do. FM asked you to do FSIP in Aam Aadmi party. That's all. Yeah. So next is, if they asked you any questions on content of audit engagement letter, you have to remember it as Russian Federation of Accountants. It is not Indian Federation of Accountants or World Federation of Accountants or anything. If you remember, there was a World Federation of Accountants organized in India last year. If they ask you a question on contents of audit engagement letter, just remember it as Russian Federation of Accountants. There is a square, R square FOA, Russian Federation of Accountants. Responsibilities of auditor. Whenever you write responsibilities of auditor, whether you know it or not, write responsibilities of management. Responsibilities of auditor, responsibilities of management, and objective and scope of audit. AFRF form content may differ from the expected. First is responsibilities of auditor, the other R is for responsibilities of management. F is form and content may differ from the expected. O stands for objective and scope of audit. A stands for applicable financial reporting framework. So if any question is from contents of audit engagement letter, what do you have to remember? You have to remember Russian Federation of Accountants. If they ask you question on preconditions, what do you have to remember? You have to remember FM has asked you to do FSIP in AAP. What are the terms of engagement in recurring audits? If they ask you what are the terms of engagement in recurring audits, you have to just remember this thing. MOS, Ministry of Sports, is asking to revise ownership. So to revise ownership, what needs to be done? They need to go to management. How do they go to the management? They go in NS200 bike, send report, and FR big book. That's all. So Ministry of Sports wants to revise ownership. To revise ownership, what needs to be done? They need to go to the management. How do they go to the management? They go in a NS200 bike, they send the report and FR ka big book. Did you understand? It's that simple. And if you get this question or any topic from this essay, it's a bonus because there's nothing much to learn. It's all what you have studied in CA intermediate. So MOS is what? Misunderstands objective and scope. Revise special terms, ownership, change in management. N is for nature, S is for size. Report change in legal or regulatory requirements or other reporting requirements. What I suggest you to do is let this point be 8 point. Let this be a 8th point or 7th point, and let this be an 8 point. You need to write more points to get marks in the examination. So misunderstands objective and scope, revised or special terms, change in management, change in ownership, change in nature and size, change in legal and regulatory requirements. The other one is change in other reporting requirements, and the final one is change in financial reporting framework. So if you get any question from preconditions, what you have to do, you have to remember FM has asked you to do FSIP in ARP. If you get any question from contents of audit engagement letter, you have to remember Russian Federation of Accountants, R square FOA. If you get any questions on terms of engagement in recurring audits, what you need to do, you need to just think that MOS, Ministry of Studies, wants to revise ownership because India is not performing very well in the Olympics. You can remember that way as well. Because India is not performing very well in the Olympics, it wants to change ownership. So to change the ownership, they need to go to management. How do they go to management? They go in an NS200 by, they send the report and FR ka big book. That's all. Next is if there is any change in the terms of engagement and if the auditor wants to accept, what are the things, what are the considerations that needs to be looked into before accepting such change. So these are all self-study, but still, yeah. There is no mnemonic for this. It's all logic based. If there is a change in terms and it leads to lower level of assurance, check if there is any reasonable justification to perform such procedures and whether to engage. Check if there is any legal contractual implications of such change. Scenario 2, if change is reasonable justification, then you can obviously accept because there is a reasonable justification for you to accept it. So then what you have to do is you should be no reference to the original engagement and no reference to procedures performed, excluding agreed upon procedures. Scenario 3 is if there is a non-agreement, what you have to do, if you cannot accept such an engagement, what you need to do, you have to withdraw. But when you withdraw, you have to check your obligations and you have to check whether there are any reporting duties or obligations on part of the auditor to report circumstances to TCWG, those charges, governance, owners and regulators. So this is a very small standard, SA 210. All the important mnemonics I've created for this particular standard, which is standards on quality control, which has only one standard. This is SQC 1. If you would like to get this PDF, you can go to my Telegram channel and download it from there. So without further ado, let's start. So applicability, we have like three things. One is it is applicable to all types of engagement. Second thing is it deals with quality at the level of the firm. And the third thing, it applies to all firms. So for this particular thing, I have created a mnemonic as SQC. What does SQC always demand? SQC always demands quality and fairness. Also, if you're not able to remember this particular thing, you can remember it as ADA. So always demand quality and fairness. So elements of quality control, we have like 6 elements. The mnemonic is harmer with an initial of L. L dot harmer. R is a filler word. L stands for leadership responsibilities. H stands for human resources. And then A stands for acceptance and continuance of client relationships. N stands for monitoring. E stands for ethical requirements, and the other E stands for engagement performance, and R is flow letter. And the next thing is in leadership, again we have few things to remember. We have like 3 points. leadership responsibilities for quality. So we have like commercial considerations do not override quality policies, procedures, design, commitment to quality, and devote sufficient resources for development and documentation. So I've created a memory storyline. Commerce with right policies will develop. Commerce stands for commercial considerations with policies here, and then development is here. Right and will is below. And the next thing is ethical requirements. We have again like 5 things. So for this particular thing, the mnemonic is section IPC purchase order, section IPC Q. I stands for integrity, B stands for professional competence and due care, C stands for confidentiality, P stands for professional behavior, and O stands for objectivity. And then acceptance and continuance of client relationship. We have like 3 things, 3 sub-points which needs to remember. For basic, the basis is integrity of the client. Matters to be considered is integrity of the client, whether we are competent to perform engagement, and whether we are competent to comply with ethical requirements. So it is like ICE. There are sub things in this particular thing. Integrity of the client. So we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points to remember. It is bifocal. B stands for business reputation, I stands for information, F stands for fees, O stands for operation, nature of operation, C stands for money laundering or criminal activities, and L stands for limitation. A stands for reasons for appointment. And then competent to perform engagement, the mnemonic is peaked. P stands for sufficient personnel, E stands for experience, A stands for availability, K stands for knowledge, E stands for experts, and then D stands for deadline. And then before withdrawal, the things to be considered, the mnemonic is DDR, discuss with management, and then report withdrawal, and then see whether there is any requirement for reporting. And then R is reporting. D stands for discuss, the other D stands for documentation, R stands for report. And then engagement performance, we have like seven points to remember. And then C stands for consultation, A stands for sufficient and appropriate. Wherever appropriate is there, you can just add the word sufficient. Wherever sufficient is there, we can add the word appropriate, sufficient and appropriate. So C stands for consultations, A stands for appropriate, and then S stands for significant matters. I stands for inference or conclusions. N stands for nature, timing, and extent. O stands for objective. S stands for significant matters. So S stands for significant matters. And the nature, timing, and extent of EQCR, there are like 3 things to remember. The mnemonic is ROM, wrong. Not reduce responsibilities, objectivity, listed entities mandatorily are required to appoint EQCR. So R is responsibility or reduce responsibility. And then O stands for objectivity, M stands for mandatory, EQCR for audit of listed entity. The mnemonic is grammar. C stands for consultation, R stands for risk, A stands for appropriateness, M stands for misstatements, and the other M stands for matters to be communicated. E stands for evaluation of independence, R stands for report, the other R stands for review. So complaints and allegations, the mnemonic is PWC, ID action. P stands for PRL requirements, P stands for PRL. P is professional, R is regulatory, L is legal, professional, legal, and regulatory requirements. And then C is non-compliance with quality control. W is within or outside firm. D is define channels, sphere of presence. I stands for investigate such complaints, and then action, appropriate action. So that's all. So below are the important questions. The mnemonic is attached. The mnemonic is also mentioned. You can make use of this particular PDF. You can go to my Telegram channel. The link is in the description and also in the comment box. If you like this video, you can subscribe to the channel. You can like the button. That's all from my side. Thank you, and go to the Telegram channel and you can get this PDF.